Hello everyone, this is a What You Need to Know number 1 review sheet, and we're going to cover a lot of different topics on this sheet. There's 8 questions and we're going to get right to it. What is the slope of the linear equation? So just remember, slope formula of any line is y equals mx plus b. The m is the slope. The b is the y-intercept. So, as you know, y equals mx plus b, the number before x, it's called the coefficient, the number before x is the slope, so 2 is that slope. Just giving yourself a chance to answer this, can you just put down what you think the b is in this equation? Y equals negative 9x minus 40. What is the y-intercept, the b? And if you said negative 40, you are correct. Negative 40 it is. Okay, so those 2 questions finished. Pretty easy. What is the slope of a line that passes through the points 2, negative 3 and 5, 1? So just remember the slope formula is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And you are going to use that in high school all of the time, multiple times. M equals slope equals y2 minus y1, the difference in the y's, over the difference in the x's. So the first thing that you do is write down the formula. The second thing you do is label. This is the first x you see, so you're labeling that x1. This is the first y you see, so you're labeling that y1. This is the second x that you're reading, that 5 is x2, and this is the second y that you're reading, that is y2. So to go back to this formula, we have m equals y2, which is 1, minus y1, which is a negative 3. The minus sign comes from the formula. The negative 3 comes from the negative 3. The y1 is negative 3. And you see this double negative? Change it to a positive right now. Right? You just change it because it's a double negative, and even if you use your calculator, the calculator will change it. But if you see that minus a negative, just change it to a positive, because that's what that is. And then x2, which is 5, from my labels, x1 is 2, and the minus sign from the formula and the 2. So this is 1 minus a negative 3. And I changed it to 1 plus 3, so that's 4. And 5 minus 2 is 3. So 4 over 3 is your slope. 4 is your answer. And I just wanted to show you on the TI-34, this was originally 1 minus a negative 3. All right. 1 minus a negative 3. You notice it's 4. It's changing it, right? So, and then also when you do put this in, press the fraction button, because that really does help. If you put in 1 minus a negative 3, not changing it to a positive, say you forgot, and then 5 minus 2, and you press enter, it gives you that. So 1 1/3, which does not help you. You can't put that down as your answer. So that mixed number is never given as an answer. So you press second function, and it's going to change that 1 1/3 to hopefully something that you could use, and that's 4 over 3. All right, so that was second function and this button right here. And you see right on the top, there is a fraction turning into a mixed number. And if you have a mixed number, you could turn it right directly into an improper fraction, or fraction, whatever it is. Okay, and that's it for number 3. Number 4 is just really focusing on rules. Right? So give me the rule for when you multiply the same base by the same base, what do you do with those exponents? You just have to remember the rules here. So when you multiply the same base by the same base, you have to add those exponents. So we're just going to put a little plus sign up here. And we're going to grab that calculator again, and we're just going to do 5 plus a negative 8. And 5 plus a negative 8 is a negative 3. So we keep the base, you keep what is the same, you add the exponents, and B is your answer. Laws of exponents say when you multiply, you add exponents. And I just put it there just in case you wanted to see it. Multiply the same base by the same base, you add the exponents, keep the base. Number 5, what do you do when you divide the same base by the same base? What do you do with the exponents? Does everybody remember? You subtract the exponents, keep the base. So you're going to subtract these exponents, but just be careful. 8 minus a negative 10. Just remember that, all right? You'll see parentheses around here sometimes when they do that double negative thing, but you don't really need to have that when you're putting it in the calculator. You could just put it in 8 minus a negative 10. Don't forget about that double negative, and you get 18. And by the way, this is the TI-84, and this is the calculator you're going to be using in high school. All right, so that's basically it. And just remember that double negative does mean positives. So you could just do 8 plus 10, that's 18. The calculator will give it to you either way. So you're keeping the base, subtracting the exponents, is 7 to the 18th power. And that is your answer. So for number 6, we have a numerator and denominator, and it looks rather difficult, but it's not. When you have back-to-back power, it's just called power to a power law, you multiply the exponents. When the exponents are back-to-back like this. When I say back-to-back, I mean like right next to each other is just an exponent, and then another exponent. Those are back-to-back exponents. It's called power to a power, or power of a power, I should say. You multiply the exponents. So when you multiply the 3 and the 2, you get 6. So you keep the base, multiply the exponents. And then I am going to put the denominator down as 5. What exponent is here though? If there's nothing written, what exponent is next to this 5? If you said a 1, you're correct. I'm going to put the 1 there. You don't usually write that 1, but in this case I'm going to put it just to remind myself that there is a 1 there. So what do you do when you divide the exponents? Well, you're dividing the same base by the same base. What do you do with those exponents? Just like in number 5, you subtract those exponents. 6 minus 1, you don't need a calculator for that. It is 5. So this whole thing is 5. We're keeping the base to the 5th power. And that is your answer. And I just put it here. It's called power to a power law. It says that when you raise a power to a power and its exponent to an exponent, you have to multiply those exponents, and then you just go ahead and put you keep that base and that's it. 5 to the 6th over 5 to the 1st, and you go ahead and divide. So for the next question, I have the find the slope of that line 3y plus 6x equals 18. And remember, every slope must be in y equals mx plus b format, and if it's not, you must solve for y. So this is not in that format, so you must solve for y. So what is the first step that you take in solving this for y? Here's the y right here. This 6x must go onto the other side. How do you get that to the other side? Use inverse operations. So instead of a positive 6x, you're subtracting that 6x. This cancels, and you have 3y equals, and I'm going to put that negative 6x first. And then I'll put the plus 18. So what's the next step? One more step and we are finished. All right? So how do we get this y alone? So this is attached by multiplication, the 3 and the y. So what is the opposite of multiplication? Yep, it is division. So we're going to divide by whatever is next to that y. I'm going to divide the other side by the same thing. This cancels, then y comes down. You're almost there. So in class, we used to do this. We used to circle this right here, and we used to get, all right, so negative 6 divided by 3 is what? That's negative 2. And then just bring the x down with it. Then we used to go ahead and say, all right, so what is 18 divided by 3? 18 divided by 3 is 6. So that's it. So it says find the slope of the line. Here it is, y equals mx plus b. The slope is negative 2. And that question is finished. All right, so 8, scatter plot was constructed, and there's a line of best fit. Remember, a line of best fit goes through the center of all the points, doesn't actually connect all of the points in the scatter plot. So it says what is the equation of the line of best fit? And let's do this pretty quickly, easily. Let's cancel out some of the answers that are definitely wrong. So the first thing I always start with is the y-intercept. The y-intercept is where I'm putting this point right here. So if you're looking at that number, that is the y-intercept. The y equals mx plus b in this one and this one says that the y-intercept is 5. For the y-intercept to be 5, the line would have to be here. All right, and it is not. So I'm going to cross out 1 and 3. So now we have a y-intercept of 25 and a y-intercept of 25, which could be either 2 or 4. But this slope is 1, this slope is 5. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to use this, like maybe I'll use these 2 points right here. And this is a 1, going from 1 to 2, and then 30 to 35. 30 to 35 is not 1, it is 5. So slope is rise over run. Rise over run. The rise in this case, and I look at my numbers, that's why it's so important to put the numbers on the outside. The rise is 5. The run is 1. The slope is 5. So if you have a slope of 5 and a b of 25, a y-intercept of 25, which one is your equation? 4. And that's it. Thanks for watching.